Down there, Shetima to judiciary, don't submit to blackmail. The Nigerian situation is one in which it is not the action men are taking that will really bring about a change in how we live our lives. It is for us to visit integrity on any stipulation or law or policy we posit or put in place for ourselves. A bad editor is a bad editor. Let him paste factuality, fairness, accuracy, objectivity, and balance behind his desk. If he does not have integrity, his stories are not going to be things that ennoble society. The same thing goes everywhere. It is good for all these things people are talking about concerning the constitutional amendment to go on. But when we do not bring integrity into life and living, it's all lip service. So it's okay, fine. Let us do what we can to at least get the structure right. Because they will tell you that in the United States, it is not as if scoundrels, bad men are not there. It is that the system is arranged in such a way that you cannot get away with certain things. So to that extent, maybe these things we're talking about would work. But the final tally is one that percolates everything about decency of the human character into the well-being of the people of Nigeria.
It's one of the issues that were discussed yesterday.
That's the way I see it. You know?
It's one of the issues that were discussed yesterday. I mean, it all boils down to the mindset.
Yes.
Changing the mindset,
Changing
the mentality
the mindset.
of
living and let live.
that is the thing.
Those things we read. Did you go to the farm after school in pants in those days? Then you see one big lorry. Honesty is the best policy, and we'll all echo it. Necessity is the mother of invention. There was one in Yoruba. I never knew what it meant. Oloru haiku or Oloru something. Demo, please.
What, you have murdered.
Okay, so the next, the Senate is pushing for lower data prices. Demola, I don't know how data vanishes from my phone.
You just murdered it.
Okay, whatever I did, I murdered it. You can reconstruct it. Okay, that's your access. Senate pushes for lower data prices. Demola, it is not just that the tariff has increased. The data itself is vanishing.
It's reducing.
I don't know.
No, because the tariffs, when the tariffs increase, the idea is that the amount of data you could purchase with a certain amount that you used to purchase with a certain amount, you can no longer purchase with that same amount. The amount of data you get becomes reduced. And then so does the time of usage.
Hold on.
That's what it is.
I am saying that 24 GB, whether Natoro buy or Nachichi, does not last as long as the 24 GB I was buying before.
Chooks.
Wait,
Victor, no. Have you noticed that most of the items that you buy now, despite the fact that the prices have increased, but the quantity has reduced?
You remind me of the woman at UK market who stuffed things under what our conscience will say. That does mean
all these fizzy drinks, you just
tomato no reach as it's supposed to be again.
Yes. But buy the fizzy drinks, you find out that you just have the bottle and you are paying 500 naira. Have you not noticed? It's the same thing with all these canned foods like sardine and all that you find 3 or 4 before. Now you just get just 2 little ones in the can.
Where is this leading us?
I don't know. And they have increased the prices.
has a lot of work to do because I've been elsewhere outside this country. You see same products that we have here. You see it elsewhere. You imagine why is ours like this and theirs is like that. The quality is much better, whether in taste or
quality
just
and quantity.
Look.
We lost conscience. We lost conscience. There must be an ethical reorientation, revolution, renaissance in this country for us to move. Well, it's not just this country. Obasanjo was saying the other time that democracy has not worked in Africa. I disagree with him a lot, because it's not democracy that is the problem. It is the attitude of men to democracy. What is it about democracy that does not encourage you to have a good life?
Why is it working?
We are the problem.
Why is it working there and it's not working here?
Is it working perfectly, though? The thinkers, Plato, who proposed the idea of democracy, we also predicted
Victor,
its
it is working.
Eventual fall of democracy.
The Germans have just conducted an election. That's just 3 weeks ago. Within just 9 hours, everything was there. It's working for them. Why is it that ballot boxes are still being snatched even when the, card reader, or what are we using now?
It's like
same way for every client and for every people.
It's like this African proverb. It's like the danger with this generation is that they want to eat dinner in the morning.
They want to eat dinner in the morning. They want to make it in one day. The people who leave billions for their children, I call them fools. I'm sorry. What are they going to use their life to do if you leave so much money for your children and all that?
Well, Chooks, that's a story for another day. Thank you for coming.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be a patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation. We are Nigeria. We know they carry life.
The Real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Welcome to Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis, a TV series dedicated to aging and older persons in Nigeria. Be part of this series and discover the transformative programs crafted to give a new lease of life to our senior citizens, courtesy of the National Senior Citizen Center.
The National Senior Citizen Center is the oasis for the senior citizens.
For thought-provoking discussions on aging, geriatric social care, and issues that matter most to our senior citizens.
Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis.
Tune in to Silver Oasis on the network service of the NGA every Saturday at 10:05 p.m. Silver Oasis, improving the quality of lives of senior citizens.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. To begin our conversation, we borders on the enforcement of laws on movement of articulated vehicles. Here's a background report put together by our correspondent Ibrahim Dan Hamidu.
Enforcing laws on articulated vehicle movement is crucial for Nigeria's road safety. The recent devastating truck explosion accident at Karu Bridge and many others, which claimed lives, caused injuries, and destroyed properties, highlights the urgent need for stricter regulations. In Nigeria, articulated vehicles like tankers and trailers are required by law to maintain a maximum speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour on highways and 60 kilometers per hour on expressways. However, the prevalence of accidents involving these vehicles suggests a lack of adherence to these regulations. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, is responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with safety standards for articulated vehicles. A critical scenario that demands attention is when trucks carrying heavy loads descend on slope highway roads during rush hour or ascend amidst hundreds of smaller vehicles and massive traffic. In such situations, speeding at 50 to 60 kilometers per hour is not only reckless, but also potentially catastrophic. These vehicles must adopt a snail's pace for safety, if not banned totally from driving in such traffic. To counter this behavioral pattern, road traffic and safety law enforcement officers could implement strict speed limit enforcement, utilize technology like speed cameras and radar guns to enforce speed limits, designate specific routes, assign specific routes for articulated vehicles, avoiding congested areas and steep slopes, mandatory driver training programs, introduce training programs emphasizing defensive driving and hazard perception, regular vehicle inspections, conduct regular inspections to ensure compliance with safety standards, collaborate with traffic management agencies, work together to optimize traffic flow and reduce congestion. Law enforcement experts will discuss the challenges and strategies for effective enforcement of laws and articulated vehicle movement in Nigeria, and how to prevent accidents like the recent Karu Bridge tragedy.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Dan Hamidu, for that background report there. And now joining us to discuss enforcement of laws on movement of articulated vehicles. Let me introduce the Assistant Commissioner, Federal Road Safety Corps, Uche Omeje, is the Operations and Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us in the studio is Dr. Bello Abdulateef, Director, FCT Directorate of Road Transport Service. Dr. Lateef, you are welcome.
My pleasure, sir.
Still joining us here is Comrade Oluchi Chinagorom, Petroleum Tanker Drivers National Secretary. Glad to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, sir. And Good morning.
All right, thank you, Demola. Let me also welcome here in the studio Manu Chuboju, who is a lawyer and transport consultant. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
And finally, but by no means the least, we have also been joined by Zoom from London, Maryland, United States of America, Simon Patrick Obi. Obi is a supervisory board member, Youth for Road Safety, yours. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, let's begin our conversation this morning with the ACM, that is the Assistant Commissioner Uche Omeje, with this question. And because we have found out that most times we are most of the time reactive instead of being preemptive. And what are the current laws and regulations governing movement of articulated vehicles in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. Funny enough, when you're looking at the movement of articulated vehicles, and I listened to the prologue before we came on air, the speed limits were clearly highlighted for highways and for expressways. If you look at it, you notice that for highways, it is lower than for expressways. And the simple reason is that within the highway, you have intersections here and there. A true expressway does not have any intersection. If a vehicle, if a traffic is going to cross it, it is going to use an over bypass or an under bypass. But it should not have any intersection. And because of that intersections you have on the highways, it is anticipated that the other motorists could actually bump into the highway without even thoroughly taking cognizance of the person that is on the major road. And so the speed limit is always lower. So when you look at, in terms of movement, the first factor you should look at is adhering to the stipulated speed limit for various areas. And even within this context of the highways, when you get to the built-up areas, you notice that the speed limit comes down. Just last year, the United Nations will come up with a different speed limit with what we have in urban before. Before, in the urban, you say 50 kilometers per hour. No, now it is 30 kilometers per hour. So it is expected that we build up areas that motorists should adhere to that speed limit. The next thing is in terms of restrictions of various states, and this differs from state to state, and that is actually within the state laws. For example, if you are in Lagos, you notice that Western Avenue, there is a time belt for trucks within those areas. In FCT also, within the route in question where the 19th March incident happened, I am aware that FCT also have its own limitations in terms of when certain vehicles should ply that. I go back again to Lagos, where I spent most of my career. You will notice that Awolowo, you will not see trucks there. It is prohibited that trucks don't use Awolowo. From Alausa, there's a radio up to the Allen Junction, up to the Keja Bridge. You notice that trucks don't use those roads. It's delineated, no entry for trucks. So there could be specific restrictions like that at built-up areas and at certain routes. That is the movement in terms of real movement within the context of the law. Okay. Now, what we have not been able to establish in Nigeria is, should we really allow, because of recent it has come to the front burner, should trucks really move during the day when other motorists are also on the road, or should they just move at the night? The argument is neither here nor there. For us in the road safety palace, if you say they should move by night, you're also going to consider the issue of response time in the case of an emergency. All the incidences we have had, you've seen how all the services, be the FRSC, police, VIO, and of course the fire service. You have seen response times improve greatly in recent times. And I doubt if we will get the same measure of timely response if it is at night. Then you also need to balance it with the security situation in the country within those highways too. So it is a debate that will not end if we continue to do it. Should the person have a breakdown, will he have mechanical help or not at that point in time? So I think within the context of all this, because I even read in the papers, I don't know how this in, where they are pushing in the House of Assembly that it should even be, they should just move at night. But then again, remember also we are in the democratic setting, that people also have freedom of movement. So within the context of all these things, I think what we should be looking at is just in terms of...
What does the law say concerning their movement? Is there any specific time?
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. There's no specific times per se, but there could be specific restrictions from varies from state to state. And I illustrated it with the FCT and Lagos, you know. And these are just specific. But when you look at the general context of the law, you cannot restrict somebody from moving at any point in time. We don't have that law yet that says trucks can only move at night. There's fundamental human rights. I'm sure we're going to go to court if we come with that also.
But would you say that these laws, well, decentralized as it is at the moment, are they obeyed? Well, it's easy to make the example of Awolowo Way in Lagos. These are exclusive areas. It's easy to get this out of the way in those places. In other places that you know, are these laws adhered to?
And that is why we are where we are today. Not just about the trucks movements in terms of adherence, but the general attitudinal predisposition to obedience to traffic rules and regulations. You have it in trucks, you have it in cars, you have it in motorcycles, you have it in commercial, you have it in this. We just flagrantly disobey traffic rules and regulations. We don't call it anything. Look at FCT here. I have done a study, but though not too extensive, and an observation survey. I stood at a particular point, and I was counting how many vehicles that beat or run on red, as we technically put it, but beat traffic light. Now, I discovered that the SUVs and the who is who are the ones that are actually even doing it more than the commercial this you are looking at. So it's about, we just have this nonchalant attitude to obedience to traffic rules and regulations.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, AC Amucho Meje. Let me get to Comrade Chinagorom just beside you there. There are laws, maybe not as stringent, maybe not as much as we would want them to be, but do you, and I speak, your members, do you have a challenge adhering to existing laws regarding movement of articulated vehicles?
Thank you very much. My name still remains Comrade Oluchi Chinagorom. I am the National Secretary, Petroleum Tanker Drivers Branch of NUPENG. For instance, the leadership of our great union has immediately gave an order on a ban regarding to night driving. This night driving has caused a lot of damages in our dear country, Nigeria. And it was on that note that the leadership of the union says there should be no night driving. As it stands now, our members, we don't drive at night. We do not in any way drive at night in order to avoid any road accident. Another thing the leadership of the union has done.
Are you saying that road accidents are likely to happen more in the night? Because I'm trying to, so that we make sense of it. In the night, the roads are freer because not a lot of people are moving at night. So is that the challenge you have, accidents?
At night, we all know that not everybody will be able to see clearly at night. And we all also know that some of the articulated vehicles, their headlights are not very bright.
Why?
Why? That is because some of them lack maintenance. But because of the lack maintenance, it was another reason that the union says we should not drive at night. And again, we all know that there are certain areas where we are not conversant with. There might be a bad spot at that road, and when you get there by sudden, it will lead to fatal accident. That is the reason why they said we should not drive at night, so that we will know exactly where we are going. You will be able to identify the exact place you are going, how the road is being fixed. That is why we don't drive at night. Thank you very much.
Do you regulate the activities of your members?
Yes.
When I mean regulate their activities, making sure that they are in good form. For instance, you are using glasses now.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
But I've seen most of these articulated drivers, none of them, not one single, is using, glasses. Are you telling me that their eyesights are perfect? That's one question that I want to ask, because you see all these drivers, and there was one particular vehicle that I, boarded one time like this. I was traveling, and we had issues with this airline thing and all that. I had to travel from Abuja to Lagos. The man couldn't see. I had to be looking, okay, stop. We are almost hitting that car. It was like the two of us were driving that vehicle until we got to Lagos. Well, so how do you people, tell us.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to clearly let you know that the leadership of our union had an engagement with Leadway Health Services across the country with over 2,000 hospitals to give our members adequate medical care when the need arises. They check their eyes, they check everything that needed to be checked to be sure that they are very fit to apply on the road. So these are the things our leadership are doing to make sure that our members are very safe while applying the road, in order not to cause any accident, in order not to cause anything that will bring havoc to our dear country, Nigeria. We all know that accident has taken so many lives and properties of our dear people of our country. And it was on this note that our leadership had this engagement with Leadway Services to make sure that our members are properly checked when the need arises before they apply the road.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you now, but then let's go to to Dr. Bello Abdulateef. I want you to tell us, what are the major challenges? Because I know that you are in charge of the Directorate FCT Road Transport Services. So tell us, what are the challenges, facing the enforcement of all these laws?
Thank you. First of all, let me lay support to what my colleague from Road Safety has enumerated earlier. In addition to availability of laws, I think there are other conditions that we need to look at. It's not just about speed limit alone. It's about looking at certain, conditions that, precipitate accidents. One would be like the road character, because experience has shown that some of these accidents happen, at certain particular, areas. So we have done our own studies, have discovered that either some of these roads are slopey or sharp bends, and for articulated vehicles to be able to apply these areas is always very difficult, because of other complementary factors, which is mixed road use. Now, using the same road with other smaller vehicles, taking into cognizance variance in their braking, distance systems and all that, and then couple with attitude, which is equally a subject matter for discussion, So in 2010, the FCT administration, because of the peculiarity of that Nyanya Kefi road, initiated, truck timing restriction, that the articulated vehicles should only be allowed to ply that particular, not just that road, all the, highways leading to the city, following our traffic patterns, because we have two level of traffic, in the FCT. Okay. In the morning time, when the inbound to the city is heavy, and in the evening, when the outbound, is heavy. So in the morning, trucks are not supposed to ply, those roads from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. And in the evening, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. So this is the restriction that was initiated and backed by, FCT transportation regulation in 2010. And then the responsibility of enforcing this restriction is saddled with the Directorate of Road Traffic Services. But of course, the peculiarity of FCT. If there is no, enforcement synergy among all the stakeholders, including the union and other, security agencies, it's going to be difficult, for one agency to, monitor and then enforce the regulation. We've been doing our best since the initiative of this truck restriction in 2010. Not until last year when the court slammed judgment against us that we cannot impound and impose fine, on motor vehicles on the road. In fact, indirectly saying we have to be off the road. But for us, we have been doing, a lot of, enforcement management to still keep our, officers on the road so that we don't allow, total breakdown of traffic law and order. So for me, I think there is need for us to broaden, our enforcement synergy to involve other stakeholders, other agencies, particularly those that, have, checkpoints, at all these strategic areas of the highways. That is the military, for instance, So, but for what happened on the 19th March, we have actually sought, some collaboration, and then we are getting cooperation from other agencies, the road safety, the military, the police, and now the truck timing is being obeyed, but I don't know for how long it will last, but in the time being, this is what is happening. But for... Okay.
Dr. Lateef, thank you very much. But clearly, the steps that are being taken at the moment maybe may work in Abuja, but it hasn't stopped the carnage, overall. Because what we still find is the continuous accidents, loss of lives, and all of those. So we'll get back to you, but let me get to Manu Chuboju. What's your assessment of this whole situation? Yes, haulage vehicles, articulated vehicles are important for the economy, to keep the economy ticking because of, moving goods and all of that around the country. But then the toll on lives, the toll on human lives is also impactful when you look at negatively impactful on the society and even on the economy itself. So where are we getting it wrong and what needs to be done?
Thank you very much. I agree with you that in spite of the laws available for regulating the movement of articulated vehicles, we continue to have carnage on our roads. And if you look at the statistics, I'm familiar with the road safety statistics because I'm an ex-road safety officer. Now, the statistics are shocking. To keep it simple, we are looking at an average of 4 trailers and 4 tanker accidents per day. Average. On a daily basis, year in, year out. And we are looking at deaths and injuries arising therefrom. Day in, day out. Yeah, some make headlines. But as we are here in the studio, before we leave, God forbid, but that is the statistics. Statistics are stubborn. There will be 4 accidents somewhere nationwide. There are about 3,000 to 4,000 trailers and tankers on our roads every day. Using road safety statistics, NNPC statistics, Nigerian Post Authority statistics, and other market where these trailers get loaded. These 4,000-5,000 are totally unnecessary. We are also looking at the neglect of our other transport modal system. 4,000 tankers and trailers on our road. What about railway? Railway can easily depopulate these hazardous vehicles on our road. What about pipelines? Pipelines are completely neglected. It's as if it's not a transport mode in Nigeria. You don't hear pipelines mentioned at all. You just think it's a Niger Delta thing. No. Pipeline is a nationwide thing. In fact, pipelines should be such that some pipes should be wired to our individual homes, just as you have taps in your house. Gas should be wired to our houses, and other gadgets and other facilities like petroleum should be wired to our neighborhood. We don't need these tankers and trailers on our roads if we depend and develop and stop the neglect of other transport modes. We have about 20,000 square kilometers of waterways in Nigeria. 10,000 year in, year out that are navigable. We don't use them. 26 to 30 states in Nigeria are navigable. We don't use the waterways. We have river ports fully developed that are neglected. I don't want to mention Onitsha Port. I don't want to mention Baru. I don't want to mention others that are totally neglected. These are ports, river ports. I don't want to mention Makurdi, Benue, where I am from. All these are totally neglected. Everything is road. The concentration of our transportation on just road alone, we are looking at road safeties are here, VIO are here, we're looking at 85 to 90%, which is totally lopsided and wrong. We're not even talking of the damages to these vehicles. No pen. They are here, they will affirm what I'm saying about damages to their vehicles on a daily basis. Daily. The vehicles are damaged, they get burnt, they get destroyed. The goods they are carrying get damaged, they get burnt, they get destroyed.
So if they can attest, why are they not using, other means to transport their products?
It is the false economy of it, because they have this feeling that we must be on the road. You don't have to be on every road. You don't have to be. You can just go to a railway station and pick your goods from there. You can go to an NNPC depot where there's a pipeline and pick up your goods from there. You don't have to travel all the way to Lagos. We have tank farms in Lagos. Road safety have given them standards to use for loading, for safe loading. Safe to load trucks. But these tank farms neglect it because they want to make profit. So because vehicles have to come to tank farms in Lagos, 80% of our tank farms are in Lagos. And it shouldn't be that way. What about Warri? What about Calabar? What about One? What about the other places? Distributed. So this lopsided economy on transportation is one of the major problems we are dealing with. So dealing with roads, dealing with regulation is really palliative. It's really palliative. The fundamental issues, the neglect of our modal transport system, intermodal. Just deal with waterways, deal with railway, deal with pipeline. If you deal with these three things for a start, it will significantly, if not radically, transform this issue that we keep discussing year in, year out. I was just discussing with my colleague here. We've been on this issue since 1988. We were just young graduates from the university. 1988, this same issue. We deal with road transport owners, paying the various unions year in, year out. There are programs already in place from 35 years ago. But the statistics don't go down. It doesn't go down. Just that when one disastrous hazard happens in Lagos or in Abuja, it makes headline. What about the one in Bruno? What about the one in Calabar or in Ogoja or in Otukpo? What about the one in Owerri that people don't hear? What about the one in Kebbi that you don't hear of? That will run into a market and destroy things that journalists are not there to cover, that our smartphone users are not there to cover. Daily basis, and we've been on it since 1988, and the statistics have not gone down.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Mani, for your opening remarks there. Let's bring in our Zoom guest, Simon Patrick. Let's hear your perspective on these articulated vehicles. What are the gaps that you have observed in the current regulatory framework, and how do you think they can be addressed?
Well, thank you so very much for that important question. First, the gaps that I've observed, and it's not just related to Nigeria, but it cuts across, but more in countries, in low-income countries such as Nigeria, is that road safety is not an interesting subject. It's not an interesting subject because these things that happen on our road are all preventable and avoidable. That's one thing we should all be aware. I mean, the stakeholders on the studio have clearly stated some of the approaches, and there is no basis to dwell on that, but to just pay attention around the interest of road safety. I believe personally that it has come of age that our roads system, or the safety and emergency situation, need to be declared on the road. And it is clear, if you look at the statistics of people that are being killed on our road on a daily basis, they are staggering. We're losing human beings. We're losing our valuable resources. Transportation is the biggest or the most vital aspect of every country economy. It drives issues such as economic activities such as markets, school. It connects people to job opportunities and boosts the economic of nation. According to the World Bank statistics, if you look at the amount of resources we lose on a daily basis, our country loses, as a result of crashes on our road, it is enormous. Countries lose as much as 3 to 7% of their annual GDP, and if you put that in currency, that's billions of dollars. And so we can reduce these losses by increasing interest, because at the end of the day, we're losing life, which is our valuable lesson. We're also losing our road infrastructure. Imagine a situation where the president or minister or even local government chairman, when they approach the traffic light, they stop before the traffic light. Imagine the lives that will be saved as a result of that just gesture. Imagine the number of lives that will be lost. But we live in a situation whereby, not so many of our leaders, pay attention to issues of road safety. And that can also be seen in the level of investment that goes into road safety. And then when you look at the budgets of the Federal Road Safety Corps, it is nothing to write home about. And I'm saying this because I have worked in this sector for almost a decade, and I see the gaps, and I see what they're passing through. Nigeria is doing well by being one of the very first country to have a lead agency at the Federal Road Safety. Kudos to Nigeria. But there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of, showing interest, in terms of increasing investment in this sector, in terms of acknowledging that road safety is such an important area of our economy that can boost all aspects of our economy in terms of job creation, in terms of increasing income for the government, and everything. Everybody on the studio drove to the studio. And that is reflective of every aspect of our life. Everybody uses the road, and so for the government not to pay attention to this critical sector in terms of investment, in terms of increasing budgetary allocation, it doesn't make sense. And the situation with articulated vehicle is not one that is not talked about. We saw what happened at Nyanya Road a few weeks ago. We're seeing from your report, we also saw what happened in Niger State. Over 100 lives were lost. And these are reoccurring cases. The question is, what are we doing to stop this? There are evidence-based approaches that countries have put together to mitigate cases like this. And I'm not going to talk about some of the ones that have been mentioned, but I'm also going to highlight, things like, designated route and restriction, time restriction. These are low-hanging, safety protocol that we would need to, adopt. And this policy doesn't just have to be in the FCT alone. It happens in the FCT in the last few weeks. We've seen it happening in Niger State. It has to be a national policy. There has to be a national policy, especially in high-risk area. Especially in high-risk area, in areas that has been identified as black spots. It has to be like that, because we're losing human beings, we're losing life. Every year, according to WHO, we're losing almost 40,000 lives on our roads. The data are there, the evidence are there. The question is, what are we doing to mitigate this? And so it has to be an interesting subject. That is my advocacy. It has to be a sector that is well invested in. And that is what countries that have achieved great success in road safety are doing globally. It has to also... Okay.
Thank you, Simon Patrick Obi. Thank you for your contribution. Clearly, of course, having gone first round, it looks like there are several issues. We are talking about the state of roads. We are talking about not obeying laws. We are talking about developing other aspects, of transportation, so that you free up the roads a bit. But let me ask, of course, what on the street, many argue that, reckless driving is the major issue, because we are dealing with enforcement of laws. So we are talking about roads, because that's pretty much what we have at the moment. But how much of it, Uche, how much of the challenge is due to bad roads? And how much of it is due to human factors? Before we go into the issues, what we don't have, well, we may not begin to emphasize at the moment. So how much of it is human error? How much of it is the road, from your experience?
If you go through all literatures you can lay your hand on, you will see it, that the predominant factor is the human factor. Studies have shown 85 to 90% is purely at the doorstep of the human factor. And who are these when we are looking at human factor, what are the elements involved? The key element is the driver. He is not alone in it. Other road users, including pedestrians, including the truck pusher, including, I hope you know that animals also use the road. At the FCT today, you are driving, you are also seeing cows on the road. So, but let's look at that the human element involved is, when we look at human elements, you look at everybody that is using that space called the road, including you and I.
Have you also considered, I'm sorry to cut in here, if you say human factors, do you also factor in maintenance of vehicles? I mean, Comrade Nagoro has already admitted that some of their people don't maintain their vehicles. Because you see a vehicle that is dangling, carrying a big container, you're wondering how is this going to get safely to where it's going? It's not about driving now.
I'm coming there. When you also look at the human factor, even within the context of the scenario you have painted, he said during his listening that some of these vehicles lack basic maintenance. Who is supposed to maintain the vehicle? The human being, who knows that my vehicle has brake issues and I need to see the mechanic before I can go. I do not need to manage it. If you take away 85%, the remaining 15%, you share it between the road and the vehicle, because there's the mechanical factors and the environmental factors. But there is something that has been said here that we must not sweep under the carpet. All over the world, crashes do occur. The magnitude is what makes our own what it is. The fatality index of Nigerian own is what makes it what it is. And honestly speaking, like my colleague said, except we begin to develop other alternate mode of transportation, we will just be like the children of Israelites in those days, moving round and around and around and around the circle. Where went somebody was just saying, and when he was saying, I was taking note. The truth of the matter, you did ask, I said, why are they not exploring this other mode of transport? You can only explore what you have. You do not explore what you don't have. Where is our narrow gauge? We started building the standard gauge. And I was happy when the thing started, people can now commute from Lagos to Ibadan. And suddenly that is the end of it. Why have we not continued with that standard gauge and connect all other? Must I come to...
It's still working.
It is.
It's still working.
Very perfectly working.
At the toll gate.
From Abuja Meta, you can take it up to Ibadan. Okay. You understand? But why are we stopping there? Why have we not... Must I come to Abuja by road or by air? Okay, you have Abuja to Warri, you go to Itakpe, to this, yes, it's working. Why are we not continuing with it? Do you know the population that travels by these two ones that I've just, where went our navigate? That one distance can just take about 100 or more of these tankers that we are talking about. Nigeria is a very funny place. While we are battling with this, every day you see security agencies arresting somebody that they went to go and vandalize our rail. That one that we don't even have, they are vandalizing the one we have. To be honest with you, the road mode, if he has been a human being, by now he will be crying. Now you are killing me. That you are killing me. So we need to actually really explore other modes of transportation. Let me tell you what other countries have also done. In Netherlands, they have canals. They have canals, artificial canals meant for mode transportation. In those places where you have low incidences and fatalities, you see how they explore other modes. The non-motorized transport sector, must we all drive? He said something, he said we all drove here. But do you know that in places like Netherlands and Sweden, professors go on their bicycle to lecture rooms? That's just it. And you see clearly delineated cycle tracks. You see clearly delineated walkways for pedestrians. I think even most of our low lifespan now in terms of because we have even jettisoned the issue of walking and all those, which improves the cardiovascular health for us to even live longer. So we cannot run away from all this. But one thing I want to say is this. In all these things we are saying, there's a deficit somewhere, and we need to start working on those deficits. In some of these countries that we are mentioning, government is not the one providing everything. Why are we not exploring build, operate, and transfer? That is what you see all other places. The government own is to provide the enabling environment. And if you ask me why investors have not come into Nigeria to invest in the transport sector, is because we have not provided the enabling environment. That will make me to ask a question. Where is our national transport policy document? It is still lying somewhere unapproved. I was privileged to be among the personnel that reviewed that document up to its final stage. That document has not seen the light of the day. If I want to invest in Nigerian transport sector, I want to see what they have. I want to see the enabling environment they have to ensure that my investment will be secured.
What do you consider enabling environment in this case?
Oh, I will not come and build infrastructure today and tomorrow you use one law to revoke what I have done.
That is exactly...
You have to make it environmental friendly for people to come in and make sure that they will be able to recoup their investment. When there is that uncertainty that they are not going to... And you must have clear-cut policy documents on all these things. I said build, operate, and transfer. That is because the government, our economy is not smiling for the government to do everything. So allow them to come in, allow private investors to come in, and I'm happy that the present government is now creating that enabling environment gradually. Okay. We have the Akwanga. That's a Jos. If you're going to Jos now, we notice that we have started touring again, and they are building. They are throwing it and this thing. I mean, most people don't know, nothing comes free, even in Freetown. We must be able to have roads, good roads, built. Let's pay the toll and have good roads that are well maintained. We have also looked and secured. We have also looked at the issue of having de-eliminating truck routes. We know those truck routes. The only problem is getting those truck routes in good condition so that the trucks can actually use it without crashing and all those things. There is a technical working committee now being coordinated by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. And in that committee, we're looking at, because Ministry of Works is also there. We're looking at FRSC, Ministry of Works, and all their stakeholders. Can we take a look at all these truck routes and see how we can actually come with clear-cut truck routes until we begin to develop our rail system the way it should be, and now have these trucks so that all trucks must go through those routes. Why some of them avoid those routes is because, in all honesty, those routes are not in the best of the conditions. But the good thing is we are seeing that we are going somewhere as a government now, that maybe sooner than later, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. But we need to be very, very serious about it.
But if we do all of these things,
yes,
and we don't have vehicles that are well maintained, how are you going to stop the carnage? Are you enforcing, the maintenance of vehicles amongst your members?
Yes, we are doing that. And I want us to understand that there's a checklist provided by the government and other stakeholders in the oil and gas industry. Before any truck goes in for loading, that truck must be properly checked according to the checklist to ensure that they are fit for loading. If the truck is not fit for loading, it will not be allowed to go in for loading. With this checklist, it is now making it mandatory that when the truck is found faulty, they must surely go for repairs before coming back for loading. Without that, they will not be allowed to load. We have the road safety in all the tank farms across the country. We have our union roads, our union vehicle inspection officers. We also have the companies, that is the tank farm safety officers. These three teams, they will all join together to inspect any truck going in for loading. And when they ascertain the truck, okay, that is when it will now go in for loading. I still want us to know that accidents are caused. They don't just happen. They are not intentionally caused. accidents are not intentionally caused. Accident is an unexpected event that carries out negative consequences without the intention of the one involved. That is to say, no one will intentionally involve himself in any accident. We have a lot of factors that led to accidents. Just like the road safety has mentioned, we have human errors, mechanical failures. We also have the environmental factors, even inadequate safety measures. All these things contributed to road accident. But what our union is trying to do, what they are doing, is making sure that the trucks are properly maintained. The trucks are properly maintained. And again, like I said before,
it's not only about the truck. What about the human element, the human factor now? You said earlier that you train your members.
Yes.
Do you collaborate with the FRSC?
Of course.
I mean, in the training, because it is important, because what kind of training do you give to your members?
We give them training on safety. During this training, we involve the Federal Road Safety Corps, we involve the VIOs, we also involve the fire service members to make sure that all of them will be part in that training. All of them will also make speeches concerning safety on the roads, making sure that drivers drive to save lives and properties. Because when that is not done, their lives are in danger. So this training will help to make sure that accidents are mitigated, if possibly completely stopped.
But this training, we don't see it in their, their manners in which they drive, when they are in the city, because they are always intimidating, all the lower cars and all that, because the moment they just get to the road, they just want to push you off.
They can drive against traffic and dare you so your lane to keep coming.
Training. Do you have your members besides the FRSC and others? Because when I say collaboration now, that you also monitor them. You understand?
Yes.
You're on the road monitoring their activities besides the FRSC or the other agencies of government. Do you monitor their activities?
Yes, we monitor the activities of our members while plying the road. We have our task forces across the country at strategic places, making sure that they drive according to the rules and regulation of the country. We have them, we have our task forces across the country. With these things, we all know that we have individual differences. And because we have individual differences, the way I live my life is not the way you live your life. Some of those things are the things that are affecting the drivers while plying the road. But the leadership of our union is making sure that our members adhere to the directives of Federal Road Safety Corps and the government at large to make sure that they are.
We hardly see that, because when you drive behind or beside or in front of an articulated vehicle, your heart is in your mouth. It's like, your heart is skipping. Your heart is just let me get
He even admits that they don't maintain the vehicle, so I don't know where he's going to.
Not that we don't maintain, we maintain. We maintain, like I said before, my life differs from yours. There are some times a truck owner might want to manage.
And you allow them?
We don't. That is why that checklist is involved. We don't allow that.
But they end up on the roads. They end up on the roads, we see them.
That is why I said accidents are not caused intentionally. They are caused as a result of maybe deplorable state of our road, environmental factors, the inadequate safety measures.
Now, I want to even ask, do you also involve the owners of these articulated vehicles?
Yes, we do.
When you are having this workshop and trainings, because the owners too must be involved. so that they will know the kind of danger when they put a vehicle that is in bad shape on the road. Because most times Nigerians are, some Nigerians, don't let me say Nigerians generally, some Nigerians, they're just after the money. How much are you bringing, on a daily basis and all that, but they are not concerned about the condition of the vehicle and also the state of mind of the drivers.
When these trainings are going on, we don't just involve the drivers alone. We also involve the truck owners because they are also involved. They must be there because they are the owners of the truck. The resource persons will also educate them to make sure that their trucks are properly maintained before going in for loading. So they are also involved.
Okay. All right. Comrade Oluchi Chinagoro, we gathered that you have to leave by 8:30.
Yes.
So we just want to thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope that you keep on speaking to your members, because all we want is safety on our roads.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
Well, creativity is so broad. I would say whatever it is that you're creative about, it takes a lot of practice before you become very good. So if it's something you intend to pursue, it's something you have to keep doing. You have to keep practicing. It's not going to be an overnight success, which a lot of people look for. But if it's something you're determined about, but the drawback rather, is that you need what is called staying power. While you're developing your creativity, you need to earn a living. So I know that's where the conflict usually comes in, especially with the hardship in the country and all that. But I think a lot of encouragement from the private sector to create incubator hubs. We've had some of those in tech. We need those across various sectors as well. Incubator hubs where these ideas can come in, be developed, be encouraged, be funded, and then we can expand it from there.
Content creation, while it may sometimes get a bad rap, I think it's actually very important because we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves living our lives. We have to show and share our stories. I think that's very important. Now, the job after that is to be able to digitize those stories into something that can provide data and insights, that can ensure that we can be able to support whole-scale industry in these spaces, to ensure that the amount of money that each content creator is getting exceeds what is currently happening for many content creators. The same content creator who lives in Nigeria will be earning less than a content creator who's living in the US or the UK or Japan. And we've got to also bridge that gap, because most of that is being driven by the ability of the consumers to pay for those goods, and also the pricing that many of these platforms have. So I think this is not the job for the content creators and the young people. This is a job for people like myself in the ecosystem who can help support the right pricing, to advocate for the right policies, to support economic development for consumers who want to consume that information and that content. And even beyond content creation, we're seeing that many people are stepping in behind the camera. They are producers, editorial, they are graphic designers, they are in technology, but maybe not in front of the camera. And what we want to say is also, we need those people too. We need those stakeholders involved. And the job of many policymakers, DFIs, is to ensure that the strategic investments get there, the collaboration gets there, and we're deliberate in how we're saying we want to support innovation in our continent.
There's an age group where your brain function is at its maximum, and that's the age group we call the youth, isn't it? So we need the youth, the younger generation, who have the energy, the imagination to be equipped with the proper education, the proper tools, the proper encouragement, and then take what innovation they bring out and turn it into mainstream developmental ideas. So you find a lot of things that are invented by people in school or straight out of school. We need our patent laws to work so that they can earn a living from their imagination. Once the imagination is just for a one-year festival or an event, then it's not worth it. Somebody creates something, we need to get our patent laws to work, we need to enforce them, and then the private sector can use those patents to develop things and encourage more people to be more creative. Back in the days, yes, you had to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. Today we have programmers, we have AI specialists, we have people that are doing ethics on genetics. Those things didn't exist 50 years ago. So there are new areas that need to be explored. The question really, apart from the parenting, does our educational curriculum cater for what the needs of the world will be in the next generation? Because our curriculum is dealing with the issues of the past. We need the government and the private sector to redo the entire educational curriculum to be forward-focused, not retroactive.
All right, many thanks for joining us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and we have been discussing enforcement of laws governing the movement of articulated vehicles. Well, we are getting into the business end of this conversation. Let me get back to Dr. Bello Abdul Latif. A lot of issues have been raised regarding the human factor, regarding the kind of vehicles that are on the road, the age of the vehicles, the lack of maintenance, and all of it. But how do we find a solution if we have not been able to develop the rail sector enough to divert? If we have not been able to develop the waterways enough to divert, how do we find solutions to the carnage on the roads because of articulated vehicle?
Thank you very much. And then the first thing is that we have to begin to look at, drawing an active legislation around the operation of, articulated vehicles and truck, activities generally in the country. Motor Vehicle Administration, being a state matter, has allowed each state, to manage their motor vehicle, differently, but we need to have a central plan, and then which means it will start from what specific age is required, for who should be an articulated vehicle driver. It's very important, but I know it's, from Highway Code, it's stated that about 26 years, but that has not been, respected. You now see children driving articulated vehicles, and there's no proper training school. There has to be a registered, proper training school for articulated vehicle driving. It's a special, skill that is required to drive an articulated vehicle because of its, the gross weight, So if we don't have an accredited special training school for these drivers where they will be trained, generically on everything revolving not just about defensive driving, but emotional intelligence, what should be their mood before they begin to put, that vehicle on the road. It's very important. And then we need to have active legislation on that. And then, again, it should be stated in line with international best practice that there should be a mental evaluation, mental and physical evaluation of who will be a driver, of this particular class of vehicles. Is very important. And until we have a harmonized and expanded, enforcement synergy, that involve all security agencies once this active legislation is enacted, so that it can be driven by, it doesn't have to be road safety, it doesn't have to be VIU, it doesn't have to be police. There should be a synergy, because until that happens, it's still going to be very difficult for us, to regulate the activities of this particular class of drivers and vehicles. And secondly, we should begin to look at our urban planning, it's only in this particular climb that I see that, community opens directly, to the highway. But it's not done in most developed climes, You can't, like going to the airport now, for instance, you see, communities opening, even government offices opening directly to highways. And if you do that, it will generate secondary activities on the road corridor. And then if there is an accident, the collateral damage will be extremely, extremely high, like what happened in Niger State of recent, So we need to begin to understand that there has to be, a security buffer between a highway and even the fence, seeding a community away from highway on trunk roads. If all these things are, actively legislated upon, I think it will go a long way in mitigating the menace of the articulated vehicles and the road crashes that we have been having in the country.
Okay, Barrister Mani, besides strengthening the regulations and the laws concerning these highways and movement, what other means do you think we can adopt? What about, thinking about maybe employing technology, use of technology to leverage on it to improve the enforcement of laws on our roads?
There are actually regulations for the use of technology. There are regulations for the use of weighbridge, for example, that the weight of vehicle, how much load can a vehicle carry, the axle load. The regulations are there for enforcement nationwide, but there are not enough weighbridges in the country. The few weighbridges that are available are non-functional. So again, it comes to what Dr. Latif mentioned about enforcement. There are not enough weighbridges.
You mean you have already technology like electronic tracking system and CCTV?
Yes. Road safety has tracking system.
Traffic tracking system.
They have tracking device. They have guns. They have tracking systems. Okay. Yes, they are there.
So what's happening?
Even some fleet owners have tracking systems. They can track their own vehicle. Some fleet owners, a few, not many,
know where they are.
To know where their vehicles are, so they can track them. Those are there. VIO, when they want to track, they can track. They have those technology in place. Various technologies are already in place. It is the availability of it and the accessibility of it. And sometimes the functionality of it is not even functioning. The technology is there, but it's not accessible or functional. And that defeats the purpose of having them. In many cases, like the various states, they have them, but they are not sufficient. They only have them maybe in the state capital. So most of these states are big geographically. Most of our states are big geographically. So you only have technology in just the state capital. But road transportation happens outside the state capital too. 80% of road incidents. That's why I don't even like using the word accident, because as we've agreed here, they are human directed. It's human elements that are directed. And to that extent, they are therefore not really accidents. They're just incidents. Incidents because if you manage the human element in it, and some, even the human elements involved, they disregard technology anyway. Even when they know they are being tracked, they disregard it. Even when they know they have to use particular standards of loading, like we're referring to safe to load. The safe to load policy in many tank farms are disregarded. And only very little technology is involved. You check the roadworthiness of the vehicle, you check the axle weight, how much it can carry, you check the brakes, the lights. The comrade that left a few minutes ago agreed that some of their lights don't work, and that's why they don't drive at night. Why should your light not work? It's one of the essential elements of maintaining your vehicle. All the lights should work. Your brake light, your headlight, you name it. They must work. So when vehicle owners are telling you their lights don't work, so they don't drive at night, well, it gives an indication of the general attitude as regards maintenance.
And that's the larger part of the challenge that we have. And I want to bring in Simon Patrick Obi, because if laws work in other climes, why do they not work here? We have a lot of laws, a plethora of them. But we don't enforce and we don't even obey a lot of our laws. So what is missing, Simon Patrick Obi? What needs to be done? We can talk about laws from now till next year. If the laws are in place, will they be obeyed? If the laws are in place, will they be enforced? How do we get out of this?
We have beautiful laws, but the problem has always remained enforcement. And I think the reason that is happening, it also, I will keep using the word interest, because this is what we have, found out to be a major issue, the political will to begin to focus in this area. We don't get to see the kind of political will and interest from all stakeholders. And we live in a nation whereby we think that accidents are orchestrated by demons, by evil spirits. But we've seen evidence have also shown that these crashes, they are not called accident, by the way. They are called road traffic crashes. They are all preventable and avoidable, right? And so the missing link is that interest. If there are political will, if there are interest, then we'll see investment. This investment would push for enforcement, right? But we've also seen cases where there are no much, awareness. People are poorly informed in terms of what is actually the case. Like if you ask an average Nigerian accident, and the next thing you would hear them say is that these things are demon orchestrated cost. But from the conversation we've had so far in the studio, we've seen that bulk of this is caused by the human factor. And so if there are greater awareness around, these are not caused by demon, these are caused by us. We are responsible for this, then we will begin to see change. And then not just, we talking about it, but let it be a conversation that it's all stakeholders across board need to champion, right? But it has to come from the top. It has to be the effort. The government has to be proactive. When I mean the government, it has to be the government from the highest level. In countries where we've seen that road safety is improved, we see that governments are championing that discussion. One of your guests mentioned Sweden, which is often used as an example. We see a situation where Sweden is performing best, but that came from the highest level of government. So we need to see that commitment. That commitment will translate into making sure that these laws, these beautiful laws that we have, are enforced, in the way that they should be. We've also talked about issues of technology, which we have. I hear that we have technology, but we don't see them, every day. If you have those technology only in Abuja and other states or other remote areas, you don't have that. I mean, you wouldn't say that you have those technology. So I mean, those technology needs to go beyond the capital city, right? They need to be in the remote villages, in places, especially where these crashes happen. And then the common link, speeding is the biggest contributory factor to crashes. And so if we're able to reduce speed speeding by half, then we're able to reduce the number of crashes that happen on our way. And so I would continue to say that interest needs to be shown. There's need to be that strong political will. Again, we're losing human lives. We're losing our valuable infrastructure. We're losing our access, and transportation is the major driver of our economy. And we need to understand that if we improve transportation safety, then we're improving standard of living, we're improving our economy, we're saving life, and we're enhancing productivity, job creation, and of course, this would also generate a lot of income and save the government a lot of valuable resources. In addition to all of the beautiful strategy we've mentioned in terms of roadworthiness, I believe strongly that one thing that would drive this process is when we begin to see that strong political will from government at the top. It has to be that.
Your suggestion there, the need for strong political will. Yeah. And we know that for all these things to work, there is the need for especially road safety, to educate the public awareness, education. We found out that, most of these agencies, they do less of it these days. And like we said earlier, you always react instead of you prevent. Most of the time, most of these agencies are hiding. Instead of them to educate the public, the road users, on what to do, how not to go about it, they are waiting for you to just miss it. So when you miss either the traffic law or whatever, they just grab you and you say, okay, no. They are hiding. Sometimes they will hide those traffic signs and they will cover it so that the road users will not see them. We have seen such before. So what is happening to all this public education, road awareness and all that? What is happening?
A lot is happening.
Yeah.
It's just that when incidences happen like this, we think as if nothing is happening. But please, before I answer that, let me say something, because we talk of technology and we have not really exhausted it in terms of what we have done. For example, the Federal Road Safety Corps, we came up with a policy that all commercial fleet operators must have their vehicles installed with speed limiting device.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the technology. Mm-hmm. What are we using it to do? Address what our contributor on Zoom just said. Address the issue of speeding. Because if we can cut down on speeding, we are going to cut down on the fatality index greatly, by same proportion. So we came up with that, and all commercial fleet operators have been installing it. I agree with you if you say, that it has not really gone, generally everybody.
Is it mandatory?
But then it's all borders on the economy. When we started, the dollar rate was not what it is today, and the compliance was higher. When we had this recession and the dollar rate became, because all these things all these technologies we are talking about, remember that they are all imported.
But is it mandatory to install?
It is. All commercial, when I said all commercial fleet operators must have their vehicle installed with speed limiting device, and we are enforcing it. And before the bank secretary left, he mentioned about the checklist. FRSC developed that checklist that we are using in tank farm. What we did when we started having all these high incidences of crashes involving tankers was to train our operatives on safe to load. After training them, we deployed them to these tank farms. The essence was for us to ensure that we tackle this thing we are seeing today now from the origin, because the origin is from the loading point. We make sure that vehicles that do not meet minimum safety standards do not load. We don't get them to load. And I'm happy, I referred earlier before to the technical working committee that the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority is now chairing and coordinating, where all of us as stakeholders are, that day to day are now getting involved. We had the issue of overloading also of these trucks. Remember that we started with 33,000 liters. From 33,000 liters, we get to 45,000 liters. Now we are now having trucks 60,000 liters and above, and they are now helping us to address it. We have staggered these things in phases that very soon now we'll phase out 60,000 liters. This is due to stakeholders' collaboration. Then you come to states. There are states like FCT and Lagos who have also deployed number plate recognition cameras. For example, Lagos for one. Whatever you do on Lagos, they pick it and at the back end. And you cannot do all these technologies without what FRSC have done. We created a robust database because all these technologies,
because of time, you just run it up.
An issue of the awareness you are talking about is a daily thing. On a daily basis, if an FRSC operative arrests somebody, before you are allowed to pay, you must go through public education in their office before you are allowed to go and pay. We are still on with our park advocacy at interstate parks, where our operatives go there and talk to them before they leave. We are still on with our road shows and mega rallies at festivals. The Salah is now coming. If you go to the field, you see that all the sector commands, they have been doing one form of campaign or the other in which they invite the stakeholders, including the press, and it's always covered. And one other thing we also did was to create a mobile app that if only Nigerians can tap into it, go to Google Play Store, download the FRSC mobile app. If you are approaching a crash-prone area, a black spot, that app will tell you that you are approaching a crash-prone area. You should slow down your speed.
But since we know that not everybody will obey laws, what are the challenges you have with enforcing existing, road traffic laws here and there? What challenges do you have? Is it manpower? Is it logistics?
It's a combination of so many factors. Logistics is there too. As I speak to you now, I need more patrol vehicles to police Nigerian roads. I need more patrol vehicles. I need more recovery vehicles that when it happens, you can take them off immediately. I need more ambulances. These things are all logistics.
And you need more personnel.
And of course, personnel will always go with
money.
It's a combination of factors.
Barrister Mani, the key takeaways.
Okay. 60 seconds, please.
Key takeaways so that we can have Dr. Lateef as well.
Over-dependence on road is not helping the economy.
Okay.
The cost is high, both human and economic, even to the owners of the vehicle. We already have waterways, and these waterways can be deployed and used. The water is there. There's a network of waterways of over 15,000 kilometers already. It's already there. It's for us to use.
For movement?
For movement. We can deploy barges. Barges can carry 3-4 tankers in one go, one small simple barge. How many barges do we have in Nigeria?
So intermodal system of transportation. Okay, Dr. Lateef.
Yeah, for us in FCT, we are proposing to establish articulated truck terminals at every entry point to the city. Where in each of the truck terminals we'll have an inspection bay, we'll have a weigh bridge, we'll have a restroom, and we'll have a fire service and other complementary services, so that before you run through the city, your vehicle needs to be inspected, and ensure that you carry the right tonnage.
All right, and expect that you carry the right tonnage. Dr. Bello Abdul Lateef, Director, FCT, Directorate of Road Transport Service. We thank you for your time and for your perspective.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Let me also thank Mani Chuboju, who is a lawyer and transport consultant. We thank you for your thoughts on the program and for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And here in the studio, finally, let me thank ACM Uche Omeje, who is in charge, the ACM in charge of operations at the Federal Road Safety Corps. here in Abuja. Thank you very much for the conversation. And finally, but by no means the least, Patrick Simon Obi, Supervisory Board Member, Youth for Road Safety, yours. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure this must have been a little bit inconveniencing because of time difference, so we thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Me.
All right, and that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We hope to see you again tomorrow. I am Victor, as you join us again.
I'm Ademola. Thanks for watching. You have a great day.
Advertising your goods and services on the right channel gives you an edge over your competitors. NTA News 24 has all the platforms for your target audience. With our digital format and wide range, we can reach your customers in next to no time. We are eager to promote your business, goods and services. So, partner with us for a very rewarding business experience. For more information, please call or visit our office at NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. NTA News 24. News and more news.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, one person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, one person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Welcome to Better You. I'm your host, Yetunde Jayola. On our program today, we are focusing on prioritizing wellness and the crucial role of self-care. Join us as we explore simple yet effective ways to make self-care a priority in our daily lives. Let's start with an intriguing question. Can you walk barefoot for a day, a week, or even a year? Meet Dr. Amisi from Kenya, who has been walking barefoot for 5 years. Let's watch a mini documentary about his journey.
Would you walk barefooted for a day, for a week? What about a month? Would you consider doing it for a year? Well, Dr. Hamisi Kote Ali is a Kenyan chiropractor and physiotherapist. Do you know who a chiropractor is? He's one who diagnoses, treats, and prevents disorders related to the musculoskeletal and nervous systems, especially the spine. But why are we talking about Dr. Kote Ali today? It's because he's called the Barefoot Doctor. Of Kenyan origin with an American father, he has been walking barefoot for 5 years and is the founder of Human Garage Limited. He believes in the importance of connecting with natural environment for better health. And he calls walking barefoot earthing. Quite interesting, wouldn't you say? Here are the benefits. Walking barefoot reduces inflammation, boosts the immune system, and improves your sleep quality and quantity. Dr. Kote Ali attended Kenya Medical Training College in Nairobi. He's an American board-certified chiropractor and a United Kingdom certified physiotherapist. We'll seek to get more information about Dr. Hamisi Kote Ali, who is known as the Barefoot Doctor and is the founder of Human Garage Limited.
Let's listen to Mrs. Ndidi Hanye here as she talks practical steps to self-love and self-care.
Oh, you can do this. You can do it. You go, girl. You go, girl. But if within you, you have that limiting self-belief, you're like, no, I can't do this. You really can't do it. So the most important thing is, what do you say to yourself, your self-talk? We have to work on what we say to ourselves. It might not, some people, this might be the first time they're hearing this, but it's never too late. You start with, okay, I need to change how I talk to myself. That is one of the most important. There are too many ways to work on your self-love. That also, accepting where you are, acceptance is key. You can't be in denial. If I'm struggling with self-love, and after today's session, I hear a thing or two, the most important thing is to accept, okay, I really do have this problem. So right now, I need help. I need to start working, looking for ways, skills to acquire. Honestly think, love shouldn't be destined to a day. It should be a lifelong journey. It should be everyday life. But how do you get to love other people without loving yourself? It's not possible. Self-love is the bedrock of every relationship with yourself and with other people. So what is self-love? It's your ability to love yourself despite your imperfection. You love yourself the way you are. You love yourself as you're meant to love yourself. Like the good book says, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. When you love yourself, you're filled with confidence and great self-esteem. You don't second-guess yourself. And when you're confident, you can achieve anything you set your mind to achieve. You do not have deep limiting self-beliefs. Some people look at themselves in the mirror daily and they don't like what they see. They don't like how they talk. And these things tend to limit them from achieving their dreams or fulfilling destiny or purpose, because they're busy thinking, oh, what will she say about me? What will he say about me? And these things keep going on in their heads and in their brains. And whatever you dwell on is what grows. What you feed is what grows. If you keep telling yourself, I'm not good, I don't look good, I don't do anything right, definitely you're never going to be able to do anything right. So self-love is your ability to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're able to love somebody else. I'm not talking narcissism here. I'm not talking people being very prideful or, oh, it's all about me. I am so good. I'm the best. It's okay to applaud yourself. It's okay to affirm yourself, but you have to be careful so you don't cross the line to narcissism, because that's actually a mental health.
Many of us take teas, don't we? Today, Mr. Nnaji will delve deeper about what is in